Did you ever have a flicker when you're taking a shower, walking to work, or waking up in the morning where you said, Donald Trump, you've won every battle you've ever fought. Why don't you run for governor? Why don't you run for president? Did you ever think about that?
People want me to all the time.
What about you?
I don't like it.
Why?
Can you imagine how controversial I'd be? You think about him with the women. How about me with the women?
That was from 1998. Trump was nothing if not grossly prescient. Today, after being warned to keep his voice down in court, Trump took the witness stand briefly, very briefly, in his sexual abuse defamation damages trial. The ex-president has already been found liable for sexually abusing and defaming writer E. Jean Carroll. She said that he raped her in a dressing room. He called her a liar. A jury found that he was lying, in fact, and was defaming her. He said on the stand that he considered the finding to be a, quote, false allegation. But again, it's not a false allegation. In fact, calling it a false allegation is the defamation he's been found liable of in the first place. And so that testimony was promptly stricken, and Trump was soon sent back to the defense table. Trump says he will be back in court tomorrow for closing arguments. In addition to showing up at his sexual abuse defamation trial, Trump has also been reminding voters just who he is, with increasingly nasty attacks on his only remaining rival in the Republican primary, former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley.
I mean, a lot of these Wall Street guys, they know me, they like me, and I see that they're endorsing, like, Nikki Haley, Bird Brain. A woman that I know very well, a woman that is not capable of doing this job. I know her very well. She's not tough enough, she's not smart enough, and she wasn't respected enough. She cannot do this job.
Trump handily won the first two contests for the Republican nomination. But as you can see in the exit polling in New Hampshire, that victory was due in large part to a specific sector of the electorate, the big wins. Men broke for Trump 49% to 39% for Haley, a 20-point difference. And single men? Well, they overwhelmingly preferred Trump, 68% to 30%, plus 38 among single men. That's interesting. But women, well, only 51% preferred Trump, 47% wanted Haley. Katie Phang served as a prosecutor in the state attorney's office in Florida's Miami-Dade County. She's the host of the Katie Phang Show, which airs Saturdays at noon here on MSNBC. She's been following E. Jean Carroll trial closely, and she joins me now. I continue to be astounded that the person who is likely to be the nominee continues to draw attention to an accusation that he raped a woman and then defamed her, an accusation that was essentially substantiated in a civil trial, and he was back at doing exactly that today.
Yeah, because it's on brand, one, and two, because he's able to raise money off of it, and three, because he's a virus. And the Trump virus infects his followers, and it gives them kind of the cover to be able to emulate him and to say and do things that are mimicking of Donald Trump. And so because of that, that is the reason why Trump feels comfortable to lean into what he has done, which is exposed him to a minimum of $5 million so far. And we'll see another big verdict come out of this second defamation trial from E. Jean Carroll. But as the numbers show, Chris, as you see, it's starting to very much whittle away, I believe, at the support that he may have seen previously with female voters. But look, the truly decent ones were never going to support Donald Trump. His misogyny, his, disgust for women, the way that he treats them, as evidenced by the way that he's treated E. Jean Carroll and others, that was never really for the decent women. And so because of that, when you now see that there is an accountability alarm that is ringing loud and clear across the country in many different courtrooms, this particular case is the one that, bizarrely so, he's decided is the one that he's going to show up to court for. It's the one that he wants to take the stand for, even though he was merely the 3-minute man today. But it's the one that he's leaning into, which makes absolutely no sense. But yet, if you stop and you think about it, it kind of does, because it fits exactly the mold that he broke when he was made.
Yeah, I want to read, just because I want to get your feedback on the legal strategy here, because I don't think there is one. I think this is pure ego and insolence. And I think it's also just a sense that, like, no one can hold you accountable. So you don't have to listen to anyone, because no one ever has before. And, when they're a star, they let you do what you want. Like, in a literal sense. That's what he said on the Access Hollywood tape. In this sense, he is acting it out in courtroom with a woman who says he raped her and a civil jury substantiated. So he takes a stand, and basically the judge is like, you can't just let him go off. Like, there are rules. And the judge says, I want to know everything he's going to say. And Ms. Haba says, I do not have an answer to that other than he stands by his deposition, his testimony the plaintiff brought in. He's going to say he stands by his testimony there. He's going to say he did not make the statements to hurt Ms. Carroll. He's going to say that he had to respond to the accusations and deny them. The statements speak for themselves. They have already been put into evidence. And that is 100% of what he would say on the witness stand. I have 3 questions, Your Honor. I just ran through it. Answer my question. I can't tell you. Answer my question. I'm not testifying for my client, Your Honor. You are making an offer of proof, and your client is bound by it. And so he then gets on, and he begins to essentially defame her again and gets yanked off. Like, is there some legal chess being played here I'm not getting, or is this what it looks like?
I think you're imputing a little bit too much strategy to some situation wherein it doesn't exist. I will say this. So Haba did exactly what her client wanted her to do, which was push boundaries, because that's a Donald Trump thing. You want to push the boundaries to see what you get away with. But the problem is that Donald Trump has been confronted with 2 significant things in this particular trial. One, E. Jean Carroll. He finally has somebody who's holding him to task, holding him to account for what the wrongs that he has done and that he's inflicted on someone. The fact that it took someone at her age and that it's a woman to do it is particularly significant. But 2, he's also been confronted with Judge Lewis Kaplan. So Judge Kaplan in this case has had him and Alina Haba on the tightest of leashes.
Right.
And he's not tolerated anything. And he's basically said, I'm not going to give you leeway in any capacity. So Alina Haba decided to try, but she couldn't get away with it. And I think it's going to blow up in his face because Donald Trump's having this jury that's watching this happen, and none of it is positive for Donald Trump.
Katie Phang, as always, a pleasure. Thank you so much.